AITAH for divorcing my husband after catching him in bed with our married neighbor and exposing her to her husband. I noticed my husband became secretive, often bumping into Emily, our neighbor, when I wasn't around. One day, I came home early from work and found my husband in bed with her. He admitted to having an affair and begged me for forgiveness. I couldn't keep quiet, so I told Dave, Emily's husband, everything. This is honestly such a mess, and I don't know if I handled it the right way, but here we go. I, 34F, have been married to my husband, 36M, for 7 years. We have an 8-year-old autistic son, and life's already been pretty stressful for both of us. I thought we were handling it as a team, like we were in this together, until a few weeks ago when everything fell apart. We live in a small neighborhood where everyone's pretty friendly, and I got along well with our next door neighbors, Emily, 32F, and her husband, Dave, 35M. Emily and I weren't super close, but we chatted often. Our kids played together sometimes, and our husbands would occasionally hang out too. At first, I thought it was nice that my husband and Emily seemed to get along. You know, just neighbors being friendly. But then things started to feel off. My husband became more secretive, especially with his phone, and he always seemed to bump into Emily when I wasn't around. He'd go out for random walks or suddenly needed to run errands right after dinner. I noticed these little things, but I didn't want to seem paranoid. I mean, we've been through a lot together. I didn't think he would do something like that to me. Then one day, everything came crashing down. I had to come home early from work unexpectedly because our son's school had a half day I forgot about. I walked in, and there, in our bedroom, I found my husband and Emily together in our bed. I felt like the world stopped. They both freaked out when they saw me, my husband scrambling for clothes, and Emily crying, saying it was a mistake and that she was so sorry. I couldn't even process it. I just walked out, shaking, and went to pick up my son from school. Later that night, I confronted my husband, and he admitted to having an affair with her for the past few months. He begged me to forgive him, said it was a stupid, impulsive thing, and swore he loved me and didn't want to lose our family. I was heartbroken, but I couldn't even look at him. I had no idea what to do, but I knew I couldn't stay with someone who would betray me like that. Then there was Emily's husband, Dave. I knew him well enough to know he was completely in the dark about all of this. I couldn't just stay silent and let him be blindsided like I was. So, the next day, I went over to their house while Emily was out and told Dave everything. I even showed him proof, texts, pictures, everything I had. He was devastated, obviously, but he thanked me for being honest with him. And that's when the real drama started. Both my husband and Emily went ballistic when they found out I'd told Dave. My husband said I should have kept it between us and worked it out for the sake of our son. Emily called me all kinds of names, saying I had no right to tell her husband and that I ruined her life. She even claimed it wasn't serious and that I blew everything out of proportion. Now, Dave is considering divorcing her, and I've already filed for divorce myself. But I'm getting a lot of flack from mutual friends, saying I went too far by telling Dave and that I should have tried to keep things private to avoid tearing apart two families. I feel like I did what I had to do, but I'm questioning myself now. AITAH for divorcing my husband and telling Emily's husband about the affair. Should I have kept quiet and handled it differently? Relevant comments. Commenter, NTA, you did the right thing, divorcing your husband and telling your neighbor. This was no mistake for sure. It's been going on for a while now. Good luck to you, OP. Thanks for your support. They've been screwing for months. It wasn't just a mistake. Commenter, baby girl, don't ever think that you are TA in the situation. Your husband and Emily better thank you for not pouncing on them. Because if it was me, I would have dogged walking them all through the neighborhood. It would have definitely been a neighborhood watch. I pray that you keep your strength intact and head held high. You got this. Story 2. New update. AITAH for breaking up with and kicking my girlfriend out because she went to an after party without me. Original story. I, 24M, and my girlfriend, 23F Ann, began dating in college. Last week, Ann invited me to her coworker's Joe party. I had heard a lot about him in the past, and he and she really seemed to have a lot in common, especially with their taste in music. Apparently, he was an amateur musician with a fairly successful YouTube channel. Joe initially invited only Ann, but when she asked him if I could tag along, he said it was fine. The party was on Saturday evening. It was a fun party with about 30 people, held at a restaurant Joe had rented out. Towards the end, though, I wandered into Ann's little discussion group, and I immediately got the feeling that nobody really wanted me there. Most of all, Ann. It was her, Joe, and a few other people. Thinking that I was just imagining things, I hung around and listened to Joe basically boast about himself the whole time. A little while later, I wandered off to get myself a drink and chat with a few other people. Eventually, the time to leave came around, and I went to find Ann again. Joe approached me at that point and said that he was having an after party over at his house. I was going to refuse, but then he said, "Sorry, man, but only Ann is invited," while clapping me on the shoulder. I first told him not to touch me, and then said she's not going. He informed me that she had already accepted the invitation. I texted Ann immediately to ask where she was. She responded, "Sorry, on the way to Joe's place. I'll see you tomorrow. Love you." I asked if she knew I wasn't invited, and she then left me on read. Texts after that were all ignored. I drove home furious. I stayed up all night, and finally Ann walked in the door at 5:42 a.m. I know because I was by the window watching. I recognized the car as Joe's and the driver as Joe. Nobody else was in the car. Anne waved to him cutely and laughed at something he said. Anne came inside and acted surprised to see me still up. At that point, I flatly told her that we were done, and she had the rest of the day to move out. Anne was at first confused with me, and then I told her that she can just move in with Joe. She rolled her eyes and said nothing happened. She gave me this spiel about my insecurities and imagination. I said it didn't matter. After this back and forward arguing, Anne finally relented and sarcastically thanked me for wasting the best years of her life. Anne finally moved out yesterday, and it was pretty dramatic. She said that she loved me and that I was throwing away everything over a party. Did I do her wrong here? I feel like I'm getting gaslighted. Update. About 2 weeks ago, I came here for moral guidance after breaking up with and kicking my girlfriend out for going to an after-party with her male coworker, who outwardly stated that I was not invited. Just about everyone in the post was convinced that Anne had cheated on me with Joe. The moment she left, I felt as if I had lost interest in her, Joe, and both of their lives forever. But a couple of days later, morbid curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to find his Instagram through Anne's. I don't know if I was looking for closure or validation for refusing to even discuss the issue with Anne, but I found both. First, a few hours after Joe drove Anne back to my place, he made an Instagram post about potentially doing a cover for Scotty Doesn't Know by Lustra. The comments were full of people saying he was going to hell, with laughing crying emojis and the shushing emoji. I recognized some of the commenters as people who had attended the party. At first, I didn't know what it was about, but after looking up the lyrics it became clear. Here's the first line of the song. Scotty doesn't know that Fiona and me do it in my van every Sunday. So, yeah, class act he is. Catchy song though, but it gets better. I know this wasn't healthy, but I kinda kept up with Anne and Joe's social media. They went full mask off. Another few days later, Joe posted a picture of Anne sitting on his lap. I could tell that based on the sofa he was sitting on, this was not even taken at the after party, but at the party that I went to. I must have been talking to someone else or in the bathroom when it was taken. I will say that I was severely depressed and, on a certain level, probably still am. It wasn't even really about Anne, but that literally nobody from the party was willing to give me a heads up. Anne and I were publicly dating. We showed up together. People knew I was her boyfriend, but I guess when my back was turned, they were laughing at me. The only thing that doesn't make sense to me at this point is why she even wanted to keep me around as a partner. When I kicked her out, she was legitimately upset. Was this a pride issue where she wanted to be the one to dump me? Was it the thrill of screwing around with her coworker behind my back? Or was this some logic that only the human equivalent of a dumpster could understand? I may never know. It doesn't matter anymore. I want to thank everyone who responded to the last post, and I really want to give a special thanks to those who posted or DM'd me with similar experiences. Without exaggeration, I don't know what I'd be doing right now if it weren't for your comments. Relevant comments. Commenter. Okay, pick up your big boy pants. You have mopped enough. Block them on social media and everywhere you can think of. Go for a run, clear your head, write out a to-do list and follow it up. Clean your house, be productive. Think of intricate things you wanted to do and do it. Make new friends. I can't overemphasize you getting a dopamine boost through exercise. You don't need all this negativity. It's only going to affect your future relationship and turn you into a controlling twat. Let go and rebuild your life. Take your time in going into a new relationship and have a healthy boundary. Good luck. Stop looking them up on social media. Call your dad or a father figure and just talk. Do anything to get you out of this funk, commenter. It sounds like you made the right decision for your well-being, and it's understandable to feel hurt and betrayed after discovering her actions. Focusing on your healing and moving forward is the best path now. If that dick comes at you to make fun of you, brag, or for whatever reason, just tell him, congratulations on winning your perceived competition. Enjoy your prize of a cheating woman and enjoy your leftovers, as crumbs are the only thing he'll ever be able to get. Commenter, while it's an asshole thing to say, this is in fact the reality of the situation, and it'll drag both him and your ex back down to earth and show that their actions has no effect on you. He's getting off on making you a cuck, as hinted by the song he wishes to cover. I won't be surprised if he switches Scotty's name with yours or dedicates it to you. Doing this will take away his perceived power over you. Story 3. AITAH for going to Dad's house to eat with my little sister after school on Mom's parenting time. My parents are divorced and my sister, 12F, and I, 15M, split time between mom's house and dad's house. Our older brother, 18M, lives with dad now. My mom is married and has stepkids and younger bio kids with her husband. They struggle financially, and because of money issues, they also don't have a lot of food at their house. They get help from food pantries and stuff, but they still don't have a lot of food or choices. And some of it is older and not fresh/tasty. This isn't enough to change custody. I'd like to live with dad, and so would my sister. My brother felt the same. The judge doesn't take what we want into account when we're under 18, and I know that from my brother, and the money issues and food issues didn't make a difference either. We were in court last month, and the judge said shared custody continues. Dad gave us keys to his house, and he always said we could go to his house after school and eat if we wanted to, so I take my sister and we eat there. My step and half-siblings go to mom's house, and they normally wait until their dad or my mom gets home for dinner. Since there isn't always enough for something after school, we all qualify for free school lunches. Except the younger kids who go to daycare. My mom's husband found out what we were doing the other week because he saw me and my sister leave dad's house and walk back to his and mom's house. He got out of work early. He told mom, and she confronted me about what we were doing at dad's, and then she asked if we got food there. I didn't say yes, but she figured it out, and she told me it was disgusting to only take my sister or to bring nothing back for the other kids. She told me I should be ashamed. She yelled at dad too. She told me I'm wrong to do something like that in such a selfish way, and she even asked me how I could do that every other week, knowing I have siblings at her house that don't eat after school until dinner. Her husband was super pissed too because he knows dad could afford for us to take stuff for the other kids, but we don't. AITAH? Relevant comments. Commenter. NTA, it isn't your dad's responsibility to feed anybody else's kids. The judge won't do anything because he's limited to operate within the confines of the law as it's written. Someone has to file a complaint against the mom for negligence for it to be logged with the court. Either call CPS or go to your school social worker, explain that you and your sister are not provided adequate food at your mom's house and that she is refusing to allow you to access the food resources readily available at your dad's house, despite not being home herself. Ask for a guardian ad litem to represent you and little sis in future custody litigation. Food restriction is something that CPS takes very, very seriously. Commenter, you and your sister deserve to eat, and it's not your job to feed everyone else. Sounds like a bigger issue between the parents. Story 4. AITAH for calling off my wedding because my fiancé wanted to invite her ex? My fiancé wanted to invite an ex to our wedding. From what I know, he was a dick who always put her down and told her that he was the best she could ever do. Naturally, I asked her why the hell does she want him at our wedding. She said she wanted to shove it in his face that she did amazingly for herself, and she got someone way better. While I appreciated the compliment, I asked her, "Are you really so hung up on him that you're going to make our wedding about him?" Honestly, once I said it, it was like someone else told me. I didn't even realize what I was saying, and I didn't even understand it until I said it. I told her that she shouldn't bother to invite him because we weren't getting married anymore. She was stunned and eventually apologized and told me to forget about her ex. I felt angry and almost told her she's the one who needs to forge her about him. IDK, she spent the day telling me that she's sorry for bringing it up. I'll be honest, I'm even reconsidering the entire relationship now. Comments. NTA for calling off the wedding if her fixation on her ex raised serious doubts about the relationship. The fact that she wanted to invite him to shove it in his face shows that she's still emotionally tied to proving something to him. She could have shoved it in his face with an IG post. The need to physically have him present is odd. Thank you for sticking around until the end. If you liked our videos, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to keep up with our latest content. Have a wonderful day.